My name is Marianna Yarovskaya. I'm a filmmaker, a director, producer, film researcher. Documentary field is changing, but one thing that has not changed is that very often filmmakers have to wear many hats, and I am working in post-production on my own film that I am directing and producing now. And right after this Zoom, we'll speak with the funders, more funders. But at the same time, to put bread on my table every day, I would take jobs for other people's films, and sometimes it's interesting jobs. For example, I don't know if it will end up in work or not, but there is a TV series that Apple TV is producing called Star City, which is a sequel to For All Mankind, and I'm invited to work there as a researcher and consultant, and I might just take the job in parallel to making my film. My very first film was quite successful. It was a student film called Undesirables, which won a Student Academy Award. And I took my camera equipment from USC Film School and went to Russia. And it was the first digital documentary project, because I'm not super young. First documentary digital project was in 1998 that was filmed by USC outside abroad, basically, that was shot abroad. They never before gave digital equipment to a crew abroad. And so I filmed in Russia and then returned to the US to do post-production. And I think I hired, some of the best people that were my friends, my colleagues, students. And it was successful because you work with people who are better than you are at what they do, and people you trust, and you form a team, and that has not changed. What has changed is that my final project, I hope it's not my last one, but every time you make a film, you think, I'll never do it again. It's so hard. So the last one, I'm filming about the Russian opposition, the woman who was in the Russian opposition to Putin. She was Navalny's first employee and his lawyer. And I started filming that abroad. And what has really changed is that Russia has become a dictatorship in the meantime. And for me to go and film this in Russia would have been impossible, and she fled Russia anyway. So the world has changed, the geopolitics has changed quite a bit. My country has changed, the one I came from, and a lot of my films have to do with Russia. But what has not changed is that I will not necessarily work on this film with the same people that I worked on the first film, even though a couple of them have contributed to this film as well. So what has not changed, that you work with people who are better than you are at what they do, and people you trust, and you form a great team, and that's how you do great work. It was filmed in Russia as well, and it was about soldiers who found religion when they fought in many, many wars in Russia after the fall of the USSR. And an interesting point about that film was that these soldiers, former snipers, one of them became a priest, another one a Muslim, converted to Muslim, another one sort of became a shaman in the course of his military life in the military. So they actually didn't want us to show the film in Russia, and so they actually, one of them threatened. He said, you can show it anywhere else but not in Russia, or I'll find you. He joked, but he was a good sniper, so you don't want a good sniper to find you. Looking back at it, I could have marketed it better. I could have, but I was restricted by that, but by that promise that we gave to the soldiers, I think, who said things that they wouldn't have wanted to be seen in Russia officially or publicly. So this film was not marketed enough. I didn't know enough about marketing and about selling. That's how, when I look at it. But I think the stories were interesting, and they deserve to be told. And I think these soldiers are remarkable characters. But I wouldn't go back to reshoot it or to market this film differently. I think, as we go through life, we just abandon our films. We don't go back to them really, and they live their own life. Moments in my career I was most proud of. I think winning a student Oscar was a proud moment, because I had my father in the audience and I had to wear a nice dress and go on stage with Kathy Bates and say, I'd like to thank the Academy, something that many people would like to say and never get a chance to say. And my father, who was in the audience actually at the time, said, I think you got your success too early. Now you will get spoiled and not, it's almost not so good. Now I understand what he was afraid of. But I was not a child, I was in my late 20s. And because it was my graduate student work. And, I went through a horrific ordeal of relocating from Russia to America. Any immigration experience is very, very difficult. The proud moment was being shortlisted for an Oscar again with Women of the Gulag. When I was I was working as a researcher on a show called Extinct or Alive, about extinct animals for the Animal Planet, sitting in my office. And I opened the email one morning and it didn't say congratulations or anything, but it just listed the shortlisted films, documentary films for 2018. And that was a very happy 5 minutes. It stays in your life and it's very encouraging, but you just then move on. And but I really, really wish that filmmakers had more of such encouragements. I think that by the time you guys make something, probably the film will be finished. We're in post-production on a documentary film. I think the working title is Luba's Hope, and it's about Luba Sobol. Nobody really knows abroad very well. She was Navalny's first employee. He picked her out of many hundreds people. She is her first lawyer, and she was the head of his investigation committee, a single mother, an A student, A-type personality, who went through a very difficult ordeal when democracy in Russia started closing down, the remnants of democracy. So the film is about her fight with Prigozhin, her the attack on her family, her escape from Russia, and what she's doing now and what her hope is. And it's trying to answer question, what's next for the Russian opposition, and will Russia ever be post-Putin, and how will it look like? That's a project we're working on. We have a very long rough cut, and we are now facing a decision whether we should make it into a 40-minute short film because of the lack of funding, actually, which every documentary filmmaker is encountering. It's getting increasingly difficult to raise funds, or if we should wait more and try to make it into a feature. But I must say one thing, as somebody who was shortlisted for an Oscar with a short film, I think that one should not be very ambitious to necessarily make a longer project. I think the most important thing, can you say what you need to say in a certain period of time? And that's the question we're trying to answer, because I believe that with her story, we can probably do both quite successfully. So we don't know what we're going to do yet. My heart goes out to filmmakers who have to work who are Russian right now and have to work in Russia because of the censorship. Like in any dictatorship or in any situation when regime does not allow you to say what you need to say, it's a huge challenge. For the rest of the world, our problem is not that we cannot say what we want to say. The problem is finance. I would say to approach every film enterprise as an adventure, but also as a business and as an entrepreneurial act. So approach it with almost like a business project, with the view of how you're going to sell it, who will be the audience, how you're going to market and distribute it. One of our producers, his name was Mitchell Block. He unfortunately passed away this year, and he had 2 degrees, business and film. And I think this is a perfect marriage and combination. You have to, because this is not a show art, this is a show business, even though we do not want to think about it at all times, but we absolutely have to think about it at all times. And that will really help. I think what I would like to add is I would like to thank ECU and Scott Hillier for being so encouraging to filmmakers. I've lived in Paris for a few years in the early 2000s, and I met Scott then, and he's one of those passionate people about film, and these are the people I like, and these are the people who like. So I just like to thank him and thank the festival.